I mean, we've heard stories of one inhalation session, stage 4 dementia. The mom is used to sitting there, non-reactive, non-responsive, just like this. And they said within 30 minutes, she's breathing the machine at the house. The whole family got spooked because they heard movement in the kitchen. They're like, oh my gosh, someone's in the house. What's going on? They go look over. There's a lady in the kitchen moving, cooking. That's grandma. What has happened? And so we've seen those cases happen multiple times. We have video testimony of another stage 4 dementia within 7 days. The woman went from non-reactive, non-responsive to playing bingo, feeding herself, touching the dog, asking, what are you thinking about? Where are we going? And you see everyone that liked that consciousness turn back on.
Welcome to Metabolic Matters podcast, where we embark on conversations with thought leaders, disruptors, change agents, and passionate souls. I'm your host, Dr. Nasha Winters. Diagnosed with terminal cancer at 19 years old, my journey led me to become an integrative oncology specialist and champion of metabolic healing. Together, we'll delve into what truly matters to our guests and how you can metabolize that wisdom to transform your own metabolic health. Now let's meet today's guests. What if the secret to longevity wasn't locked inside a lab or a supplement bottle, but hidden in the simplest, smallest molecule in the universe? I'm talking about molecular hydrogen, an invisible force that may be one of the most powerful allies we've overlooked in our pursuit of health and vitality. Welcome to Metabolic Matters, the podcast where we dive deep into the science of health creation and human optimization. I'm your host, Dr. Nasha Winters, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by someone who is pushing the boundaries of how we think about wellness, Mateo Johnson. Mateo is a longevity coach, a detox specialist, and the CEO of Axiom H2, the company behind the world's first board-certified, doctor-endorsed hydrogen generator. A former competitive boxer and lifelong athlete, Mateo's work blends art, grit, science, and innovation to deliver medical-grade hydrogen for folks like athletes, aging adults, and those navigating chronic illness. Today, we're unpacking the real science of hydrogen therapy, from oxidative stress and mitochondrial repair to anti-aging and cellular rejuvenation. Get ready to question what you thought you knew about antioxidants, energy, and the future of metabolic health. All right, you, my friend, have an amazing journey yourself. Your own story is so compelling. And that's where I'd love to start, Mateo, is with your story, because it's not every day that a boxer, a scuba diver, and an entrepreneur become a pioneer in medical grade hydrogen therapy. So welcome. And let's start there. Tell us a bit about this journey.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Winters. It's such a privilege and an honor. And just giving me this opportunity to explain a little bit about my story. And so I've been involved in the molecular hydrogen industry for about 13 years now. So it's been a long time. I originally discovered molecular hydrogen through studying ozone and other medical gases, hyperbaric oxygen, different forms of oxygen therapy, oxygen restriction, ozone, inhalation, bubbling through extra virgin olive oil and all different types of things, which led me to oxyhydrogen, like Brown's gas. And then that led me into hydrogen. But the story originates as I'm a holistic nutritionist and certified to strength and conditioning, herbs and supplements, nanotechnology and hydrogen, a lot of other things. And I was in the pursuit of increasing my performance with boxing, competitive boxing, as well as tennis, and a lot of everything under the sun. And so through that pursuit of natural improvement, I discovered these medical gases, which led me into Brown's gas, which led me into hydrogen. And then I said, wow, this is really improving my cardio, my endurance. Supposedly it's non-toxic. Supposedly it's 100% natural. There's no secondary effects. I'm like, I need to look into this a little bit more. And so after further research and joining online groups, working with different companies, helping build machines, helping do the affiliate, video setups, getting all the feedback, I really started getting a good grasp of the industry. And again, this is many years ago, so very, very few people have heard about this. But the research just was blowing my mind. Mainstream had never talked about it. The professional sports players never talked about it. And I just said, wow, this is showing improvements in 170 diseases, 2,000 studies backing it. No one's heard of it. I said, this is my responsibility to educate the world from just as a messenger, not me creating my own opinions. This is as a messenger. I need to get this out there. And it's pretty funny because many years ago, I had this big beard. I was a wild jungle man and talking about hydrogen and breathing hydrogen. So I was definitely a different type of person in the health industry. But little by little, the science kept speaking loudly. The studies showed the truth. And so that was a little bit about where I started in my mission. I got kind of frustrated with a lot of companies in the market from Japan, China, Korea, Australia, United States. I just didn't really see the quality company with the quality support and education behind it, transparency. And my background was in hospitality management. So I had a very big heart and passion for customer service and giving people this amazing service if it has to do in hospitality or at a hotel, at a restaurant. But behind that all was a passion for helping heal people. So I decided to combine the two together, take all my knowledge of building machines, doing customer service, and, doing a lot of at-home studying in biology and cellular health and mitochondrial health and just what we call YouTube University. If you can do the study, out there is the information. So no excuses. And little by little, I got the encouragement to, find a medical manufacturer, get a team of engineers and create the machine that you wish was out there. And so that's how Axiom H2 was born. That was my original passion, was sports performance. And I said, wow, no, my parents need this. My uncle needs this. My family needs this. This is so much more than sports performance. And here we are, 13 years later, healing the world one person at a time.
Oh my gosh, Mateo, so cool. I mean, I love all of the stories of your life, the threads of your life, all weaving this beautiful tapestry that is not only serving you and those that you love, but humanity as a whole. And so, for someone hearing about this for the first time, which there are a lot of people who may have never heard about molecular hydrogen therapy, there are a lot of people who may have heard of, but still aren't really quite clear on what it is. Can you give us a little bit of background? Like, what is it? Why does it matter? Specifically, why does like the size of these, little air bubbles matter? And what is unique about them? Throwing a lot at you, but the part of that conversation I'm also really intrigued on, as you mentioned, Brown's gas. And so there's a lot of folks out there that are still, a lot of us learned about Brown's gas a long time ago, and there's a lot of mixed reviews and information on that. So maybe weave that into the story and differentiate between Brown's gas and the molecular hydrogen that you and your company utilize today.
So, about, 13, 12 years ago, I did start with Brown's gas. And so, which is oxyhydrogen. And when we were comparing the studies and following the science, a lot of the studies were with hydrogen, very few with Brown's gas, majority with hydrogen enriched water. And then, and Brown's gas is oxyhydrogen mixed together. A lot of the other technologies for Brown's gas was using a very specific chemical called sodium hydroxide, which is very harsh for the body. And those were the companies I used to work with and help build some of those machines and understand it. And so me not knowing any better, I started there. I thought it was the best thing. But as I progressed in my research and education, I realized that there's a safer way than Brown's gas. And when you follow the science, it really was more focused on just pure hydrogen. And so, yes, hydrogen is a therapy. Brown's gas you can inhale. Hydrogen you can inhale, but more studies were showing hydrogen-rich water and hydrogen inhalation than Brown's gas. And also Brown's gas, just so we're aware, that originally was used for welding torches, oxygen and hydrogen mixed together. And so, someone decided, hey, let's breathe this and let's start using it for therapies. But, with the technology we have now, there's just no reason to use Brown's gas anymore. And I think until there's 2,000 studies showing it's safer and just as effective or more effective than hydrogen, that's why I jumped off the Brown's gas train many years ago. That's where I started. And then that's where I left it. And so back to hydrogen, it is a therapy that you can inhale, which is what I'm doing right now. All water.
I'm feeling jealous, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I do so much calls and so much hours on these calls. I'm like, I could be getting hours of hydrogen in right now. So that's just how simple it is to integrate this type of therapy during a call like this or while you're working on the computer. But the hydrogen therapy in a very simple form is we are taking H2O, which is the water molecule, and we're separating the H2 from the O. So it's kind of like we're breathing water vapors, just a select molecule out of the water vapors. So extremely natural. And this is created in our stomach through proper enzymes called hydrogenase. And so long as we didn't abuse antibiotics, which there's probably going to be a few of us that didn't use those too much. But so hydrogen's made naturally in our stomach. It's found in water. It's found in our oceans. It's found in our atmosphere. It's found in the stars. It's so natural. It's so safe. And that safety profile, being one of the highest rated safety profiles for all medical gases, is really where it just kept attracting me and my interest. It's so safe. It's so natural. And it's helping so much. And so why does it work so well? Well, due to its molecular size. Due to the molecular size, it's one of the smallest, if not the smallest molecules in the universe. So just due to that molecular size, it gives it the highest bioavailability. And so you could use amazing tools like vitamin C, which does wonders, but it's like gigantic when you compare it to a little thing of molecular hydrogen. Another thing besides the molecular size, hydrogen it acts like an antioxidant, and it's a selective antioxidant. So almost like aptogenic. And so it acts intelligently, and it selectively neutralizes the most harmful free radicals like hydroxyl radicals, and will leave other radicals as signaling molecules. We don't want to go in as an antioxidant and just wipe out everything, because there's some good ones that we still need. So it acts intelligently. It fits in every nook and cranny in the body, goes into our cell walls. It protects our DNA, optimizes gene expression. It passes the blood-brain barrier. It reduces neuroinflammation. It increases neurological functions. It increases intracellular hydration, improves electron flow in the mitochondria. All these things are happening on the deepest levels, 100% natural, non-toxic. So I can breathe this 24 hours a day. And this is also one of the only machines that will run 24 hours a day. But that's how safe it is. And a lot of the work that I used to study many years ago was from Dr. Serkis. And he was saying if someone is on their deathbed, they should breathe hydrogen 24 hours a day, every single day till they can get off the bed. That's how safe, that's how healing it is. So I want people to understand that you have all these amazing technologies out there, and me being a gadget guy and a supplement junkie and, a peptide guy and everything under the sun, I've learned that I had a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. It worked great. It just wasn't practical, right? No one wants to build in a chamber, in a combustible chamber, hours a day. You got to wait for the pressure. I mean, it just wasn't practical for my daily usage. And so I have a closet now, probably $20,000 worth of cool health tech that is just not practical to integrate into my daily life. Hydrogen was one of those ones that there's no chemicals with our technology at Axiom H2. There's a proprietary technology. We're patent pending. I mean, we can go into that in the next conversation, but it's seriously something that you can sit here and just breathe, and you're repairing your cellular health. We've seen it with the dark field microscope, improving red blood cells. We've seen it with VO2 max diagnostics. We've seen it with HRV. It decreases resting heart rate, decreases tension in the body, increases insulin sensitivity. So it helps with blood pressure. All these things can be verified. Don't take my word for it. Call me out. Go do the research. Do your own blood work. We encourage that. And we've actually just partnered with Versea, which is a mitochondrial testing company, to show over 5 different parameters of your mitochondria improving through this natural therapy. And so you can make hydrogen-rich water. It doesn't change the taste of water. And so when you're thirsty, you drink water and it's healing you. So it's not a therapy. You have to go into a chamber. You have to go to a clinic. No, when you're thirsty, drink hydrogen water. That's your therapy. So it's so simple. It's so beautiful. You can't overdose on it. We have 3-year-olds using it and 103-year-olds using it. We have people on medications, on blood thinners, on chemotherapy, radiation. We work with people from all across the spectrum, to pro athletes, to stage 4 cancer, and all dementia, everything. This is safe. It doesn't have to replace what you're doing. You can integrate it with pre-existing therapies. It works great synergistically. And again, since it works intelligently, it's not going to stop any benefits from another medication you're using. So yeah, that's a little bit about what it is and how we apply it.
Mateo, it's so amazing. A couple things stand out to me in this conversation. I mean, first of all, I really appreciate your own journey and your own evolution and your own understanding of this. And what I think is really remarkable about conversations like this is sometimes as clinicians or health coaches or allied health professionals, we run across something that works and we tend to dig in our heels and think that it's like at its pinnacle, and that it's not a dynamic, evolving or iterating process. And we continue to sort of say, this is the way. And so my favorite part about what you're saying is that you're also highlighting my favorite practitioners out there in the world today are those that iterate with new knowledge, right? And that realize we started perhaps here, but we continue to add to that knowledge base. And this is what I think that your company has done really well with, and that you're always finding new information and still sort of trying to prove or disprove it. You're asking the good, you're being good scientific method, facilitators here to ask the questions and do the deeper dive. So I really appreciate that. Number 2, what I really took from this conversation that you just shared with us is that this is a naturally occurring endogenous molecule. And you said a few things that piqued my curiosity. I did not give it that much thought about its impact or its implication or its dependency on our microbiome to endogenously naturally produce. And so what's very interesting is when I have not met a microbiome, an imbalanced microbiome in a chronically ill patient over my entire career. Right. And so I think about that and I think, well, gosh, right there is a rate limiting factor of where we may be producing this naturally endogenously, and where a tool like this can help kind of replace that function until we can get into the corrective nature of getting our microbiomes up to doing it on our own again. And my imagination, Mateo, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that some of this exogenous support of the hydrogen water can help change that microbiome back into its natural state again, to then endogenously push the creation of molecular hydrogen from your inside out, besides just the outside in. Am I correct in that assumption? Or okay, because that one stood out to me. I was like, oh, that's fascinating. And the third point you made, which I think is really huge, especially in the arena in which I work, which is with a lot of very seriously ill folks that are typically taking in a lot of different therapies, including a lot of therapies that are by design very pro-oxidative. And so they work by creating massive reactive oxygen species. And of course, that can be devastating to a system when it's too much of a good thing. But at the same time, we don't want to overly quench that process when we are trying to have a certain effect. So finding that balance of how do I both push and support simultaneously. And what it sounds like to me is the exogenous application of molecular hydrogen plays well with others, and that it's designed, as you said, smartly so, adaptogenically so, to know when do we want to help scavenge up the excess reactive oxygen species and when do we want to leave alone the well-designed, well-targeted oxygen species that we want to direct a particular effect. Am I also understanding that? Cool
Yes.
beans. So I love it. So evolution of understanding, the fact that we have lost a lot of our ability endogenously to make this, which might explain some of our chronic health issues of today and ways to maybe help our bodies remember how to do that naturally. And third, this therapy plays very, very well with others without blocking our desired therapeutic effect.
Yes.
Awesome. Whew, sometimes these brain cells are working well. They work even better. I am hooked up to a machine like yours, which, by the way, I'm very grateful from Axiom Health for allowing some folks in our community, some very, very ill folks, some very well folks, and even me, who's in an airplane every other day, who's really taken a beating with that experience firsthand with baseline labs, with baseline, some imaging, with baseline subjective data to utilize this therapy for several months. And truth be told, I would have liked to have used it much more than I could, but I'm not certain I could have done all of the amount of travel I did this year without the inhalation of, the creation of the water of, and the sort of sublingual or dissolving tablets that Axiom creates. I'm pretty sure you guys held me together with this sort of like duct tape and bubble gum to over these last few months of not even being in my own bed since April of 2025. And here it is, we're in September of 2025. So
Wow.
super stinking grateful for that because I was on the road so much I didn't get to use it. But I have a few others that were able to use it very diligently, day in, day out. And we saw absolute changes that you described earlier, changes in their HRV, changes even in their CGM, in their ketomoja and whatnot, and changes in their blood testing and even imaging. So you're right. We have metrics. This is not just hearsay, and the studies continue to stack up in this area. And we're hopeful to be doing more studies with you on this. But how do you explain the selectivity here, where it can target the most dangerous free radicals without shutting down the beneficial signaling molecules? Can you give us sort of a fifth grade response to what may be happening here? What do we understand so far?
Well, that is the ongoing question that even the top scientists and doctors in the world, we're still trying to understand. How does it act intelligently? How does it know what, when, in what to attack or not attack, and what to support and not support? Because in my body, hydrogen can act like a precursor to antioxidant production, like superoxide dismutase and glutathione peroxidase. But in your body, it could actually trigger oxidation because that's what you need. So the research out there doesn't know still how it acts intelligently. And that is one of the most puzzling things that has kept my curiosity peaked to the max, because again, it's one of those, they say it's a God molecule because water has intelligence. Water can hold memory. And what the most parts of water are made up of H2 and one O, H2O. So the majority parts of water is H2. And what is our blood and what is our body? Majority water. And so hydrogen plays a really important role, but how it acts so intelligently, I can't answer that. And we see what it does. We see the routes it goes and the things it triggers, and it neutralizing, hydroxyl radicals, the byproducts H2O. We see it doing all these different things, but how and why, we're not sure. And so that's just one of the puzzling things, that ongoing research. And we have to sometimes forget what we know and start again fresh and reevaluate things. We can't, we have to readdress old contracts and belief systems we made 15 years ago, right? And there's new information out. There's new studies coming out daily and weekly. And I actually don't go off of a lot of the research from 15, 20 years ago, because I see a lot of it has changed since back then to now in the hydrogen space. So.
Yeah. It's funny. I did a presentation not too long ago at a big medical conference, and I was speaking about different therapies that seem to have the biggest, levers to pull in
Mm.
specific to how we work with cancer. And just out of curiosity, and this was several months ago, I went in and just typed in molecular hydrogen and cancer in PubMed. And I came up with over 700 studies, like
Wow.
really strong studies. I was shocked. And I haven't checked it. That was maybe 6 months ago, maybe longer. I'd be really curious. I will do this and put that into the show notes before we publish this out here for folks to see. But you're right. And most of the data I was finding was within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I suspect it's just so rapid fire changing right now. We're in real time that it's literally a day by day, play, and that we don't have the answers, but we're certainly curious and digging deeper. I mean, heck, we use things like aspirin and we still aren't even quite sure of its mechanism of action, and it's been around forever. Right. So
Right.
these are those types of things like, well, we know it does something. So it's, less harm than good, it's important here to keep this in mind. But I am curious, are there a couple of stories or testimonials or experiences you've had with people, maybe somebody from the seriously chronically ill space, and maybe somebody from the optimized, athletic endurance space that you might share with us that really made an impact on you and how this tool might have played a role?
Yeah. I mean, this
Yeah.
is always one of the most exciting conversations to have, because being in the space 13 years and, working with different companies and now my own, we've really dialed in how to provide results. And what I realized is we are results driven. If we don't give results, we need to change something we're doing. Right. And so everything, just like those tablets, very unique tablets, to our inhalation, to our water bottle, it all moves a meter that can be validated, that gives results. And so this is such the most rewarding thing we can do is get that text, get that phone call saying, oh my gosh, my mom, it looks like is like a ghost because she came back. I mean, we've heard stories of one inhalation session, stage 4 dementia. The mom is used to sitting there, non-reactive, non-responsive, just like this. And they said within 30 minutes, she's breathing the machine at the house. The whole family got spooked because they heard movement in the kitchen. They're like, oh my gosh, someone's in the house. What's going on? They go look over. There's a lady in the kitchen moving, cooking. That's grandma. What has happened? And so we've seen those cases happen multiple times. We have video testimony of another stage 4 dementia within 7 days. The woman went from non-reactive, non-responsive to playing bingo, feeding herself, touching the dog, asking, what are you thinking about? Where are we going? And you see everyone that liked that consciousness turn back on. And so we've seen those cases. A really amazing story was a COPD with an 88-year-old woman. In her first few weeks, she had it increases oxygen utilization in the body. And so she said, hey, I'm feeling great. I'm going on my walks, in California. And then a few months later, she sent us an email. My heart dropped because I see this huge email and I see emergency room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? Our first maybe negative thing in 13 years in hydrogen. And so I read through the email. She said, I had excessive coughing up of mucus for like 14 days in a row. Every day coughing up mucus. And she's like, it got to the point I went to the ER because I didn't know. She goes, do you think it has to do with the hydrogen and I'm breathing a few hours a day? I said, absolutely. It has created a very strong detox response and it's cleansing your body. I said, continue using it, but lessen the frequency if the coughing is just too intense for you. But I think it's a really good sign. Another month or two goes by. She follows up. She goes, hey, I want you to know after those 2 weeks, I followed your protocol. I lessened the frequency. The coughing subsided, but I want to let you know I no longer have COPD. So again, this is not medical claims. I'm not a doctor, but I am just don't kill the messenger. But this is one of those stories where, I just get emotional. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm making a difference in people's lives from my passion and no more COPD with something natural. So that was one. Another one, we had shrank a cancerous tumor by 30% in the first few months. And now this was also combined with megadose glutathione. And then another 3 months, the cancerous tumors were non-existent in the body. That was with our medical director, one of his patients, Dr. Alan Inman. And then like for an optimized person, so we work with pro athletes in the world and we use lots of different diagnostic tools. And one of them has to do with heart math, but, algorithms based off your HRV. And so some of their top athletes in the world winning and their overall health score out of 100 was at like a 60% to 70%. So I said, if you're operating and you're winning and you're only running about 65% of your full capacity, how would you like if I had you operating at 95 to 100? And so with that one athlete, her name's Yokasta Valle, she's ranked, I think, number 1 or top 3 in the world for women's boxing. And she just got picked up by MVP Boxing, a new league. And so she's getting lots of attention now. And her head coach and trainer and manager, he's the one that first said, hey, what are you guys giving to Yokasta at the clinic? Well, she tried hydrogen the other day. She hadn't done it before. She goes, well, she's not getting tired on doing her cardio. So it greatly increases cardio, endurance. I mean, if we're increasing VO2 max and we're increasing hydration and increasing ATP production via improving mitochondria, and we're decreasing like cortisol production and not in a harmful way, but all these things end up meaning this person can go a little bit longer, a little bit harder, and with less inflammation and all these things. So we work with multiple athletes. We work with Olympic trainers, Olympic athletes. We have our foot in the door with UFC gyms on the public gym side and some pro NFL teams and NBA teams. So it is showing, again, it's not banned by WADA, so World Anti-Doping Agency. So this is okay for pro athletes. It's okay for a perfectly healthy person. Like I'm a young, healthy guy. I'm 37 years old, but biologically, my biological age is running that of a 28-year-old. In the past 3 years, it hasn't changed from 28, hasn't gone up anymore. I've stayed biological age of 28 years old. So, and I'm using hydrogen on a weekly basis. So it's just one of those no-brainers that once you really see it and learn it, it's good for one machine can help heal your whole family and your neighbors. And so it's just a beautiful thing. And I could go on and on about the testimonials. We have improving detached retina. We have improved vision. We have reversing COPD, reversing 2-year-long long COVID in 30 days, multiple cases of long COVID, pneumonia, anything respiratory just does amazing. We have video testimonials of improving low SpO2. So low blood oxygen really creates problems in people's lives. And so unlike oxygen therapy, oxygen, you put on oximeter, you breathe oxygen, you see the SpO2 raise in your blood and you go, great. You take it off and then you see it fall.
Yep.
Hydrogen will actually raise it and keep it elevated when you're off the therapy. So it's one of those amazing intelligent tools that's systemically finding homeostasis. And so it works for everyone in any condition. Autistic children, we have improvements in autistic symptoms. And just, I could go on with different forms of cancer, erectile dysfunction, high blood pressure, diabetes. And so it's amazing.
MitoVita isn't another supplement line. It's a cellular medicine in a bottle. Created with Dr. Ahmed El-Saka and myself, each formula is clean, practitioner designed, and terrain approved to support pathways like blood sugar balance, sleep, and mitochondrial function. Explore the line at mitovita.com. Let's get back to your mitochondria. Well, you spoke to, when anyone who's in the metabolic health space probably picked up, their ears perked up on a few things you said. You mentioned VO2 max. You mentioned HRV. You mentioned mitochondrial respiration studies, seahorse studies, other mitochondrial testing studies. The three of those things, they're cross point, the common denominator is they're all at the crossroad of longevity.
Yeah.
And in the, sort of the Benjamin Button, like you describing you being 28, despite the fact that your chronology suggests otherwise, of being 37, but with a 28-year-old biology. That is incredibly remarkable. In the world today, we are aging our mitochondria, which is the source of our longevity faster than ever. So basically, simply put, cancer was always thought of a disease of the aged. And now we're getting sicker younger. So when I left medical school, the average age of cancer was 68. Today, that average age is 48. And
Wow.
so it's younger and younger. And it's not that, it's now attacking the young. No. The mitochondria are sicker in the younger because of the burden that they're being exposed to on a regular basis. So what you're speaking to is such a preventative for living on planet Earth today. Until we gather the communities and the resources and the advocates and the activists to change that, in the meantime, we're kind of in trouble. Not kind of, we are definitely in trouble. And so what you're describing here is, today, if folks aren't aware, VO2 max is a prognostic marker for longevity. Like it is, if your VO2 max is poor, you're not going to have as good of longevity as, somebody else with good VO2 max. If your HRV your heart rate variability is constantly low, you are not resilient. You are not meeting the stressors of your day-to-day with vigor, all right? And in fact, it's taking a toll on you. If your mitochondrial respiration, if your electron transport chain is not being efficient and effective, you don't make energy. You don't make ATP. So therefore, you don't make physiologic reactions happen and you degrade slowly. And what Mateo is describing here is a resource for us while we're figuring out how to clean up this planet that we have had a very heavy hand in destroying. We can also be proactive in changing our own response to it and giving ourselves some resources that are helpful. So did I misrepresent any of that, Mateo, from what I just described?
No, you said it beautifully.
Perfect. And the other thing that comes to mind here is what got me. I've been interested in the Brown's gas and molecular hydrogen for many years because I focus in the oncology space and it's shown up in research in other places. And I've had a lot of patients come to me over the years and say, do you know anything about this? And then it was sort of underwhelming, as far as Brown's gas outcomes from what it was seeing clinically. But then I started getting curious. Well, the curiosity really peaked in 2020 after this crazy worldwide experience we all shared, right? Because suddenly I'm looking at folks who my normal tools of proteolytics, so things that break up blood clotting, weren't working anymore. The perfusion and oxygenation of the tools that I had in my toolbox were not landing as they had prior to spike protein issues. The tools that I had used before with great outcomes and great expectations and my colleagues had used were suddenly falling flat. And that created a little bit of panic within my community. And I stumbled upon some research and started down the rabbit hole and started to get access, even with the poor quality. And we'll come into differentiating you from others in the industry right now. But even the relatively poor quality devices on the market were making the biggest difference from all of the other tools I had in my toolbox. And suddenly I'm measurably able to see people's fibrinogen activity, D-dimer activity, interleukin 6, interleukin 8, C-reactive protein levels, even homocysteine levels start to respond where they were not budging with this. So that became a moment that I realized this is a very important tool in the plight of COVID and long hauler syndrome. And started playing with that in lots and lots of people. And man, it was probably the biggest lever we had in this. And I think it is I think it's not so readily people aren't aware of it and it's not as readily available, which I'm hoping this conversation and your organization and others that may come from this, because this isn't necessarily like Mateo is the only game in town, because there's room for plenty of this. We have 8 billion people that need this. You can't serve those 8 billion people, my friend. But we certainly can push the research and the resources to get this accessible, because I love how you spoke to like sort of like a community, like having your community molecular hydrogen. So that's why many clinics are starting to bring these devices in. That's why many people you guys have just recently come up with a portable, like your own home-based small portable option of making your own at home. Now it's not the inhaled form, but it is a drinkable form. And you also have these amazing tabs. So we're going to come into that here in just a moment and talk about some of the delivery systems of this. But a couple of things I want to mention while you guys are all looking at Mateo with him breathing on this right now. When I got to utilize this, one of the things I really didn't get to do and I want to go back to is you also have the ability to put this through your ears. So there is so I've had a lot of patients with tinnitus and other, great, I'm glad you're going to show what that looks like. So it looks like you're listening to those stereo system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've had folks, describe to me, tinnitus or platinum driven ototoxicity, which is one of the most common chemotherapy drugs that people will get, who were told this is irreversible, damage to their hearing, have restoration, shockingly so, unexpectedly so, with the use of molecular hydrogen. Can't explain it, but we saw it, and it's picked up objectively with otologists confirming that these patients have had improvement in their hearing, right? So freaking amazing. And the other thing, what I want to play with is, as someone who has a long history of retinitis pigmentosa in my family, which is eventually will lead to blindness, and did for my grandmother. It already has for my mother. I'm trying to push the floodwaters back on that for myself. I've had my vision change drastically in the last few years, thanks to all of my time in front of screens. I'd had better than 20/20 vision my whole life until like 6 years ago. It just fell off a cliff. I want to do my own internal study with my, ophthalmologist on board to see what I change with this. So that's my plan, Mateo. I'm calling it out so we can do this work together and see what happens here in the RP space, but show them there's a goggle way to even apply. Yes. So you look really cool doing it too. But these yes, it's incredible. So there are so many deliveries when you think about this. And then you're going, yes, what? That's new. That wasn't in my kit. So you can kind of get it all there. But I'm thinking about just the application. You talked about the change in dementia. You're going in as close as it gets, eyes, ears, nose, face, to the brain. And the implication of the brain-gut axis and the implication of the mental emotional well-being and the brain inflammatory processes, the neurodegenerative processes. My gosh, Mateo, the sky is sort of the limit here. And hearing the feedback I'm getting and recognizing the potential, I too am curious and want more data. So now that we've kind of talked about a little bit of the delivery systems, where I want you to go now is there are a lot of people out there in the wellness industry with these devices or similar devices making very bold claims. So I would love to know what sets your generator apart from other hydrogen generators, what sets your water generator apart from others, what sets your hydrogen tablets apart from others. Walk us through the differentiators.
Sure. Well, as you stated, there's 8 billion people on this planet. And so, and I can't serve everyone, unfortunately. And, when I created the company and the product, it was, I don't want to cut corners. I wanted to have everything I wanted in a dream machine as a consumer. So as a purchaser, as a client, I was looking for machines that had the sensors, that I could get someone on a phone call, someone that was educated. I needed that in a company, and I had 5 checkboxes per se, and I couldn't find a company that could meet all of the checkboxes. And so, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself, right? So we do have a premium brand with premium products. And so, as you stated before, and I never want to, let's say, tarnish another brand because I think mine's better. Of course, it's going to be a very biased opinion coming from the founder and the owner and the creator. So, of course, I'm going to say mine's the best. But I've actually owned about 3 other hydrogen machines from other companies. I used to build hydrogen machines for other companies. I used to do the customer support with other companies. And I just realized this is not done the way I want it to be done. And so right now, like the machine I have right here next to me is, that's our 4.0 machine. And just to get people, 4.0 means that's our 4th version. So it means we're not just putting a product on the market, dusting our hands, and letting an AI chatbot run the brand. It's not what we're doing, right? We're not a fly-by-night company. We've been around for over 3 years. We have $0 in marketing. We're in 10 different countries, and we're with different institutions. We're in private government sectors. We're all over because we focus on results and education. And so our machine versus other machines, I want to say that we use the highest grade USA made medical grade engine. For those that don't understand what's happening in a hydrogen machine, but the engine also what we use is a PEM, proton exchange membrane, USA made, the highest medical grade quality we can find and use. That's what we use. So that's always reassuring. It can run for over 8,000 hours to 10,000 hours with pure medical grade hydrogen. We use gas analysis device. We have our own in-house testing system. And we also work with a third-party laboratory as well to do a very specific type of gas chromatography, which uses a certain accessory called headspace. And so there's probably less than 3 of them in the whole world that you can get a hold of these and use them. They're extremely expensive. You might have one at your new.
We're working on it because they are crazy.
Yes. And for those that don't know, Dr. Winters is part in established state-of-the-art research, the Metabolic Terrain Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's a nonprofit, guys. So please support her. We're supporting her in your upcoming event. She's fighting the good fight. And so we're so grateful to work with her. But so that type of technology to do the testing is not cheap. But that's what we invest our money in. A lot of brands might invest their money back into marketing and paying an influencer. We don't do that. We offer reward if an influencer moves the meter, but we're not paying people to just say certain names, big name. Hey, here's 20 grand, go shout it on a rooftop. We want people to truly understand the technology, fall in love with the technology, and then represent it. So this has our technology, for example, has 7 sensors. So it's really worry-free. It's constantly running the temperature of the machine, the electrical voltage of the machine, pressure inside the machine, gas production, water quality, all these things. If we know a machine is having good things, but the voltage is low, well, then the gas production is going to be off, or vice versa. Some of these other products, you put in any type of filtered water. Well, the quality of the water, the source water we put in the machine to run the machine is a direct result in the quality of gas.
Yeah.
So this machine has to run off of, all of our machines have to run off distilled water or ultra pure water or deuterium free water. The sensors won't allow it to run anything different. And so that's going to protect you as a user. This is why this is used in neurological spaces. It's used in cancer centers, oncology centers. Some very big names across the United States, in high prestigious medical institutions, because we meet all their standards and we exceed them. We even have, I'm going to detach it from the machine, but this is a bacteria filter. Yeah. So we just really go above and beyond with everything to make sure you are getting the highest grade quality of hydrogen there is. This machine here does 600 cc's per minute. Some machines do higher. We found that what's called the Goldilocks zone of being very effective in therapeutic levels, but also highly safe. We don't need to worry about a static spark in an explosion, anything like that.
Yeah.
This is that kind of happy zone where there's zero risk, but it actually saturates your blood in about 10 minutes. And once your blood's fully saturated, you just want to stay on it and maintain peak saturation so the hydrogen can do its thing. So there's proprietary circulatory filtration systems. We're coming out with the new advanced PEM in the next model. Also, like I believe you got these finally, but this is super saturated hydrogen rich water. A lot of hydrogen companies claim ppm. A lot of hydrogen companies tell you half the story. But where my machine, and just like Dr. Winters, we actually include a meter.
I love that.
What company and what product out there says, hey, here's a device and here's something to measure the device to show you it's working? No one does that.
No. And Mateo, it's so funny. When my husband saw that, as a chemist who runs a lab, he saw that device. And when you sent over, when we were getting the machine and setting it up, he was setting up, he's like, this is like setting up your own lab. And he goes, it is legit. It is absolutely, validated what you have here. So he was over the moon, and he's a very picky man. So I just appreciate that so much. And another piece before you keep showing all of your delivery systems there, I had to go over so many hills and jump through so many hoops to even get an introduction to Mateo, because you guys aren't out there trying to like push a product, sell a product, market something, find influencers. I had to really beg, borrow, and steal to have you guys have a conversation with me of like, how can we do some meaningful research together? How can we get this into the hands of people and do some preliminary testing and evaluation? How can we partner for future research? Because I started to recognize very quickly, many people come to me all the time saying, we want to send you free stuff. We want you to try this. We want you to be our endorsee of this. You guys, that's not where your head is. Your head is to absolutely change molecular hydrogen science. And so I want the listeners to really be aware of that. And this conversation, we have nothing in exchange except for wanting to bring good care to humanity. That's what our common goal is in this conversation today. So
appreciate you recognizing that, because, myself and the people that work in my company, we all had existing jobs. We all were, successful in a certain form, but this was something meaningful. And this was not one of those things you get rich quick, you get in, get your market share and get out. We're not doing that. As I said before, a lot of the profit we've made goes right back into research and development, goes right back into studies, white papers, very expensive things that we're doing, and being able to donate the technology to certain institutions that are doing good research and things like yourself. So that is true. And guess what? Almost on a quarterly basis, we're almost completely sold out of every product we have. So we're doing something right. We're not chasing dollars. I don't care if you say, hey, well, I found this one for less price. Okay, go have your experience. I wish you the best in the hydrogen industry, and I'm so glad you're using hydrogen. And if ever in the future you circle back around, we're going to be here to support you. And so it's one of those things that, hey, if you're in hydrogen, thank goodness. And I just hope that the rest of the science behind hydrogen companies make sure we're doing it safely, right? We're adding the sensors that we need to make sure we're not inhaling harmful gases. We are educating the people and telling them the full story. For example, lots of hydrogen-rich water bottles out there. Majority of them is alkalinizing the water. And so they get some hydrogen in the water, yes, but the part that we don't need is super high alkalinity in the water going into an acidic stomach, right? And so that's part of that education, is saying, hey, 30, 40 years ago, alkaline water was recognized as healing water, right? And I was a person going to the store buying gallons and gallons of alkaline water because I believed the research and I didn't question it, right? But then as I started questioning it, I said, wait a minute. We have an acidic stomach around hydrochloric acid, which is like a 2 on the pH scale, and we're drinking 9.5 alkalinity. And then when you remove the hydrogen from alkaline water and you redo all those tests, there's zero benefits of alkaline water. So it had nothing to do with the alkalinity of the water. It had to do with the hydrogen as a byproduct, right? And so with our inhalation machine, you get goggles to saturate your eyes, which is helping with vision. You're getting earphones, which is a direct route for neurological functions, tinnitus, dementia, things of that nature. Then we have our new prototype, which you don't have, and we'll get you these, which are the masks, which are wonderful for the skin health, collagen production, mouth breathers, and eye health. So it's getting saturated all over. We also include in this beautiful accessory bag, you get a diffusion rod. People don't know that with the diffusion rod, you can saturate any size body of water. We don't alter the pH of the water because we don't need to, but you do add available hydrogen saturated to the water over, almost 3 times the minimum therapeutic reported level, which is 0.5 ppm per liter. And we're doing 1.6 and change ppm, and which includes your own hydrogen-rich water bottle, so you can store it in here.
Yeah.
And so talking about new information, old information says that you need to drink hydrogen-rich water immediately because it's escaping. But guess what? With this meter and H2 blue drops and your container and our form of injecting water from gas into water with an infusion rod is creating an extremely stable form of hydrogen that we've actually measured holds in the water at therapeutic levels up to 7 days.
Yep. I've tested as far as 3 days out, and it's maintained its integrity just because I just drank it all before it was gone.
Right.
But 3 days, it was still showing, well over, still at around 1 or higher parts per million.
Yeah.
So super cool.
And so I never read that in any of the research on my certification and my education. I never read that anywhere, but I found that out. Why? Because we're testing oxidation reduction potential. We're testing pH, potential hydrogen. We're testing ppms, and we're doing lots of tests to figure out how stable this is. Why is it stable? What loses its stability? Excitement of the water molecules. So taking your water bottle and going like this a bunch is going to excite the molecules, and it's going to escape.
Yeah. Like keeping it still and just sipping on it, pouring it into a little glass and drinking it throughout the day worked really well. So, very cool. Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Nasha Winters. And if you've been listening to me for a while, you know my North Star is this: stop chasing symptoms and start rebuilding health from the ground up. That's why we created Metabolic Regen, an education platform rooted in the Terrain 10, the framework that I've learned to apply to myself and to tens of thousands of patients over 2 decades of clinical practice and cancer care. This isn't about cramming more protocols into your brain. It's about learning to think differently, to see patterns, to read the body's terrain, and to meet patients, or even yourself, where you are. Whether you're a clinician just starting your integrative journey, or a seasoned practitioner ready to bring metabolic and mitochondrial medicine to your toolkit, Metabolic Regen is here to support you. Inside, you will find immersive courses, real case studies, mentorship, and a global network of like-minded colleagues, all of us pulling together to change the story of medicine. If you're ready to be part of that shift, join us at metabolicregen.com. Let's rebuild medicine from the mitochondria out. And Mateo, talk a little bit about let's say folks don't have the cash to bring in this home device or this clinical device, because it's a medical grade model that could actually be utilized in various clinical spaces, which also can lower the cost that a patient can come get treatments. So for instance, here's the protocol you guys worked out with me and the folks that that utilize the devices. We were doing an hour a day, 1 to 4 hours a day. So our really critically sick person was doing it up to 4 hours a day of the inhalation. I was doing it an hour a day. So was the other person doing an hour a day. Plus we were drinking whatever water we were drinking, we were doing from that, water bottle. And then taking 1 to 2 of the tablets a day. Now, when I was traveling, because I would be on an airplane constantly, and I didn't have your new, homemade or your new hydrogen making water bottle on the go, I was just using the tablets, which I could feel almost instantly. So I was taking those about every 2 hours on my international flight, and a couple times a day while I was traveling. And that kind of held me through the process. So now that I'm home and now that I've got access to my fun bottle, the next time I'm on my international flights, I will have both my homemade water as well as the tablets to likely enhance the experience. But if someone's listening right now and they want to try hydrogen therapy, what is the easiest and most cost-effective place to begin from the bottom of the tier all the way up to the top?
Sure. So, and as you said, we have the most unique tablet on the market. We don't just copy the other brands. We really wanted to do something different, from inhalation device to our water bottle to our tablets. So this is for a $50 purchase price for one bottle, and we do a price discount for more bottles. This is what's known as solid state hydrogen tablets. And I'm going to let the cat out the box per se and tell some secrets about this.
Whoosh.
And because we don't want to hide it anymore, but these are amazing. They're individually wrapped, and so comes in a blister pack.
Yeah.
And so it keeps the quality very high. And unlike most tablets that have a form of magnesium that has a chemical reaction in water, which nothing's wrong with those, but an open glass of water, all the gas that gets made in that water is going to escape out the top. With our tablets, solid state hydrogen uses a patented process in a laboratory called dry water.
Yes.
And so this is incredible, where we inject hydrogen gas into water. We put it through a dry water process, which turns water molecules into microclusters that look like powder. And so these microclusters of water hold hydrogen, and we compact them into a honeycomb structure into the tablets. We've removed any harmful binders that typical tablets have. So they're all natural, they're safe. And when you take this and it dissolves in your stomach through heat in your stomach acid, our stomach acts like a closed container. So all the hydrogen that's released gets totally collected into the stomach, which will immediately start fighting bad bacteria, increasing the production of good bacteria, and make it to all your cells and clean your internal organs very effectively with about 10, 15 minutes. And so it's such a powerful tool. And people ask, if these tablets work so well, which they do, they say, why do I need a machine? I go, you don't. Again, I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. I want to offer the best products in the world for you guys. If it makes sense financially and our branding makes sense and the technology makes sense, we're here for you. And, 13 years ago, I started with magnesium tablets. And after about 6 months on tablets, I'm like, I'm done with these. I need to figure out a better solution. So these start at $50. Then next, you get into super saturated hydrogen-rich water, which on average does around, through gas chromatography reports, third-party testing, does around 17 parts per million, which is insane. For anyone that doesn't realize the depth of that. Is majority of bottles will alkalinize the water, and you might get around 2 and change, maybe 3 ppm. And guys, 3 ppm is high.
Yeah. Getting something. Yeah.
That's good. Therapeutic value is 0.5 ppm per liter, but who can drink a liter of water in a sitting, right? It's too much water. So we need high concentrations with less water. I believe the Echo, and guys, I'm not the pro in Echo. I don't know Echo, but I believe they claim around 7.8 ppm, which is amazing, guys. So if you have an Echo, bravo Echo for creating that high ppm. Where we're different is we're using that USA made membrane. We have low level frequency that's built actually into the top cap. So there's low level frequency being imparted to the water, and with a viscosity meter, we can show reducing tension in the water, which increases absorption. We have, UVC light. We have a self-clean mode that, guys, if you're not cleaning the membrane, they will clog, and it will could potentially release harmful oxides, but definitely will slowly produce less and less hydrogen over time. And so we actually reverse the electrical current in the bottle, which releases ozone through the membrane. So you're always going to have proper same level hydrogen production over the life of your bottle, which this does 3,000 hours. Most companies will never talk about the hours. They're telling you half the story. And what I want to do is paint the full story for you and send you on your way. Go buy the $200 bottle, the $100 bottle. In 3 months, 6 months, when it doesn't work, or you get sick from it or whatever may happen, you go back to Axiom and you say, okay, I see why they're at that price point now. Because again, I wanted to create something that works, that's safe, and to educate you guys what to look out for. And so we have some reports that hit 25 ppm. On average, we're doing 17. And with rheumatoid arthritis, anything at 6 ppm or higher almost completely relieves the symptom of rheumatoid arthritis. So imagine what 25 ppm is doing for your gut health, your liver, which holds the highest amount of hydrogen in the body. This retails at $750. You can also switch the cap on this. This has an accessory and put a breathing cannula on this.
Nice.
And that comes in the kit. So you can breathe this in the plane. You can breathe it in a long car ride. I do want to be transparent. It's underneath the reported minimum therapeutic levels breathing. But at the same breath, no pun intended, we have people breathing this out the bottle, which does around 60 milliliters per minute. And people are saying that some of the respiratory issues are going away.
That's great.
So it does just a wonderful, powerful travel tool. Take it on the go, hydrogen-rich waters at unprecedented levels, most powerful bottle in the world, using USA-made membrane with low-level frequency, self-cleaning, all these features. And it even includes a filter. So while you're traveling, because you need to use filtered water so you don't break the membrane,
right?
It comes with an activated carbon filter.
That's
So
cool.
everything you need for medical grade hydrogen in quality, traveling anywhere in the world. And so we have this at $750. We go up into a home model, which looks like this one here, that retails for $3,500. We have another model just like this, includes the full accessories here, which retails for $6,500. And then we go up into commercial grade units, can go up to $3,000, $4,000, $8,000, and $10,000. So we can actually custom make units built for certain scenarios and settings, or a big football team that you have 10, 300-pound guys. They need a high flow rate. We have all those. We're second quarter next year, we're releasing a countertop model, which uses nanotechnology. We also magnetizes the water. It vortexes the water. It has nanofiltration, and we remineralize the water.
This is so clear. Your passion just pours through to the listeners. It's really beautiful to see the excitement and creating for well over a decade.
This is like, I'm not a salesman. I'm just super passionate about hydrogen, and I love helping people. And if that resonates, great. I'm here to offer you a product. 8 months ago, well, now it's closer to 9-10 months. I'm very proud to say this. We haven't talked about this much publicly, but we've partnered with Europe's top research and development firm, and they actually work directly with the European Space Union, and they have developed 5 patents for them. And so that is our new R&D firm, which has been not only working with us and developing and perfecting all of our technology, but all of our new lineup coming out next year is all going to be aerospace grade engineering and manufacturing. So I couldn't be more thrilled, because this company is highly selective what projects they work with, and they're very choosy, and they chose to work with us. And so I've been over there to their laboratory in Europe and worked directly with the owners and the engineers there. They have a team of about 25 PhDs, engineers. These guys are whiz kids 2000, mad scientists like myself, and we geeked out big time.
Amazing.
Yeah. So,
well, it's fun because, one of my questions is going to be what's on the horizon, and you just let the cat out of the bag there for what's on the horizon. And so I would love, if you're open to it, to do a little round, like a little flash round of quick, like a lightning round of short questions, short answers, first thing that comes to your mind vibe, if you're up for it.
Absolutely.
Fun. Okay. First myth about hydrogen therapy you want to debunk.
First myth, 300 cc's per minute or milliliters per minute is underneath therapeutic levels.
That's a good one. All right. Number 2, if you are on an elevator next to somebody on an airplane and you have to explain in just a matter of 30 seconds what is hydrogen therapy to a skeptic, how would you describe it?
backed by over 2,000 studies showing improvements 170 diseases. It's found in atmosphere, water in our body naturally, and you can never overdose it. And I encourage you to Google benefits of hydrogen therapy.
I love it. And even that PubMed, like I said, just put in PubMed, molecular hydrogen cancer and see what is revealed. You'll be blown away. Exactly. Okay, one feature of the HW600, which is the big mama, right? The big cahoon. What part of that are you most proud of?
Oof. Durability.
Okay. That's a big one. Because you're investing that. You need it to stand up. Right?
Yeah.
It's a piece of medical equipment, folks. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Number 4, hydrogen in your morning routine. Do you drink it, inhale it, or both?
For my morning routine, mostly because I'm up and running around, I would love to inhale it if I were seated in a call like I do during my calls. But mostly in the morning, I'm popping a tablet. I don't have to wait 3 minutes in water for it to dissolve. I literally, boom, swig, keep it moving. That's how my mornings start with my tablet.
Love it. Love it. One mistake people will make with hydrogen therapy.
Thinking that all hydrogen products are equal. If this hair dryer makes hot air for, then this one does it and they're all the same. Hydrogen's a way different animal.
Totally. I love this. Okay. One other therapy that you might consider pairing with hydrogen water. What's your favorite?
Probably peptides.
Oh, cool. So a little stack with peptides. And then last but not least, if you could track one biomarker for hydrogen's impact, what would it be?
Reactive protein.
C-reactive protein? Interesting. That's perfect, guys. So you're hearing this first. And by the way, that's a place that I've seen change a lot of people very, very quickly. We're talking in a matter of days, not over weeks or months. So I love this. My gosh, Mateo, what an absolute joy. I mean, you and I've had multiple emails, multiple conversations, but we've not taken the deep dive that we did today. It's very exciting. I'm very excited for you to be joining us at Metabolic Health Day. I really appreciate you guys being so gracious, so generous with your offering of letting people in our community try this out and actually get some metrics ourselves and look at how we can do some really cool studies together in the future. But Mateo, your heart is very generous and your mind is just as generous. And so it's lovely being with you today and really appreciate you joining us. So we'll make sure that people can find you, my friend. So give us a verbal shout out, how they can best follow up with you, your company, Molecular Hydrogen, and we'll also put this into the show notes.
Sure. Guys, check out the website, axiomh2.com. You can check out social media, Axiom H2. You can also check out a personal page I go by Hydrogen Warrior on Instagram as well. And I think that's it as far as our outreach. For partnerships, email partnership@axiomh2. For general inquiries, you can email info@axiomh2.com.
Again, my friend, very, very lovely to be here with you today. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. The pleasure is mine. And thank you everyone for listening. And thank you, Dr. Winters, for just being such an advocate and proactive with everything that you do.
Right on. So grateful for Mateo. He has been giving us an eye-opening conversation and showing us that health optimization isn't always about bigger, stronger, or faster. It's often more subtle, the unseen and the foundational. Molecular hydrogen may just be the missing piece for repair, resilience, and longevity. For those listening, if you want to learn more, check out Axiom H2 and the HW600 Cellular Optimizer. And as always, if this episode expanded your thinking, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Because the more people we reach, the faster we can shift the conversation around true metabolic health. Until next time, stay curious, stay healthy, and keep optimizing. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Metabolic Matters. If something in today's conversation resonated with you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new exciting episode. Drop your thoughts or questions in the comments, as we'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to check the description below for show notes, guest links, and additional resources to support you in your journey. You can always follow us on Instagram and across social media at Metabolic Matters for updates, insights, and behind-the-scenes content. And a heartfelt thank you to Julie Newmark and Whiskey Flower for the beautiful music that brings this show to life. Until next time, stay empowered, stay curious, and keep metabolizing what matters.